Hi everyone, welcome along to the first of a brand new series of videos aimed at the beginner beekeeper who's looking to have maybe one or two beehives at the bottom of their garden. Hi everyone, welcome back to the workshop, and if you're watching this on Patreon, this is a brand new series of videos that we're putting together in conjunction with Thorne Beehives, who've very kindly supplied us with bees on a budget beehives that we are going to gradually build up and use over the course of next season. And you'll get to see all of the videos as we produce them each week through the winter and into the new season, when we'll hopefully be able to pop some bees into the hives and manage them really as a beginner beekeeper would, with just a couple of hives at the bottom of their garden. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you will get exactly the same videos, but there will be a delay, so you'll see these videos a few weeks after our subscribers on Patreon. So if you'd like to join in as we go through the season and see the videos on the day that they are published, then take a look at our Patreon page, and I'll pop a link in the video description beneath this video. So this series of videos came about really as a conversation with a beginner beekeeper who's just started, who has a couple of national beehives and is really looking to manage the bees through the spring and into the summer, doesn't want to increase the colony numbers that they've got, just want to stick to one or two beehives, and is struggling a little bit with the colony expansion in the spring, wants to maybe run a brood and a half or a double brood. So a brood and a half would be using a brood box and a super, or a double brood, as it suggests, is two brood boxes. But there, specifically for beginner beekeepers, there comes a challenge with that in how do you inspect two boxes? Which box do you inspect first? How do you know where the queen is? How do you deal with all of that? And then you've got treatments on top of that, and you've got honey crops and everything that just goes along with having bees at the bottom of the garden, really. And I think as an experienced beekeeper of a significant number of years now, with many beehives, maybe I've lost sight of how beginners struggle in those first 2 or 3 years when they're new to this hobby. They're dealing with live animals and there's so much information being thrown at you. So the object of this series of videos really is to start from the beginning with a couple of beehives. We'll build them over this winter period, and this is very much just an introduction and an unboxing video. So we're going to open up this box and show you what comes with the bees on a budget hive setup. So there'll be a hive and a couple of supers in here. And as we go through the winter, we'll make up each of these pieces of equipment, show you how we would do it. And then as we get through into the spring, we'll introduce a colony into this hive. For us, I use Langstroth hives, and we produce some 14 by 12 nukes for sale. So we're going to have to manage this particular hive and get bees into the standard national frames. I think one of the issues that beekeepers come up against is with the modern kind of colony that people are buying as nukes, they expand very, very rapidly. And so the problem with that is there may not be enough space in the brood box for a beginner beekeeper's colony to expand and manage without adding some extra space. And I think that's where the challenge has come for the conversations certainly that I've been having. So that's where we're going to look to build this series of videos, show you how you can manage that spring growth and swarming phase of the season, and hopefully help you enjoy your hobby as you go through into a new season. So we've been very kindly sent 2 beehives from Thorne Beehives over in Lincolnshire, and these are bees on a budget outfits. So it's a basic hive, a minimal outlay, and the kind of hive that you would maybe start with as a beginner beekeeper. So what I'm planning to do today is just unbox it. We'll take all the bits out, we'll have a look at what we've got, and then we'll get into building it as we go through the colder winter months, and hopefully help you with any problems, any challenges you might have in building a beehive, and then we'll get some bees into it in the spring. So I'm fairly familiar with this outfit. I've had them myself way back when, and it's a fairly straightforward system, and you'll be able to build it with minimal woodworking skills, which is great for me because I'm not a woodworker, as some of you will already know. So this is our roof. Again, everything's flat packed, so we're going to have to make it all up. So we've got some roof material, a galvanized metal roof, some instructions for making up the roof, and a small bag of nails and pins and bits and pieces to help us make up the roof. The outfit comes with a plastic queen excluder. Some people prefer a wired framed queen excluder. We've used both. We have plastic excluders on our Langstroth hives. We also have some metal excluders, and the 14 by 12s, when we have moved the nucleus colonies into a full-size hive, we've used plastic excluders on those. They work perfectly well. There are some challenges with that, and there are some things that you need to kind of understand when you're inspecting, but we'll cover those off when we get through into the spring next year. We've got a national economy open mesh floor. So it's got an open mesh so that air can flow into the hive and debris and varroa mites can drop through. And this yellow board is the screen that we can put in to monitor the varroa mite drop if we want to do that. We've got a ready-made, pre-built crime board. These holes are designed for a porter bee escape, and I can't remember if we've got those escapes in here, but we can talk about those and I'll show you those. But that goes on top of the brood box. Lots of packaging, it's well packaged, and if you hang on to this material, it's really useful in the smoker, so you can use that in your smoker. It comes with all the frames, so we've got components for the frames. These are for the brood frames, and these shorter ones are for super frames. And then we've got other components. These are the bottom bars, and then these are the top bars. Now the top bars will be the same for the super and the brood box, so you don't have to worry about getting those muddled up. So we've got a couple of packs there. In here we've got our wax. So split this open. So our wax foundation, 2 packs for our super frames, so these are called shallow size, and then we've got our brood or our deep wax here. Pop those to one side safely, and this is called a dummy board, and we can use this to prevent the bees from building lots of brace or burr comb between one of the end frames and the side wall of the brood box. So this is a really useful piece of equipment, and again we'll demonstrate all of this as we go through into the season. We've got our instructions here, really good assembly instructions, particularly useful if you're not used to making up beehives. If this is the first time that you've ever had a go at building a beehive, then it's great to have those instructions. A bag with all of our nails, glue, and actually this has the porter bee escapes that I was talking about earlier. I'll just pull one of these out to show you. In fact, we'll open everything up and I can show you what you get. So we've got our tub of wood glue, nails which are fully labelled, so we've got labels on each of these packs which explains what it's for, so you can't go too far wrong with them. Pins for the frames. So we've got 3 small packs of nails, so we've got 1 for the brood box and 2 for the supers. So this outfit comes with 2 supers and 1 brood box, and these are the porter bee escapes, and these are used in the crown board to allow the bees to travel back through the supers, down through the crown board and into the brood nest area or into a box beneath it when you want to clear the supers to be able to extract any honey that you might have. And they work very, very simply. So the bees go through this hole and then that slides on top of here. So this is how it would be in the crown board. The bees go through the springs, which act as a one-way system, so they can't then come back through. So once the bees have travelled through here, the boxes on top should be completely empty of bees, or certainly not have many bees in them at all. And it just makes life a little bit easier when you're trying to extract your honey. And then finally, a few more frames. So these are the top bars for the frames. Last but not least, we've got our boxes. So the smaller ones are the supers. So we've got 2 supers, which again we'll make these up as we go through these colder winter months. And then this one is the brood box, and you can see that we've got 2 different sizes in terms of the height of these boxes or the depth of the boxes. They're the same size in terms of the footprint that they have, but they're just a shallower box, and that's why the wax is called shallow wax or deep wax. And these 2 boxes will go on top of the brood box with the queen excluder between. But as I say, we will go through all of that as we get through into the spring and explain exactly how you use this equipment. And then actually, finally, and just to show you everything that's in the box, we've got the runners which are for these boxes, and this is what the frames will sit on. So this goes inside the box and the frames sit along the edge of these runners. And that's the Bees on a Budget beehive. It's a fantastic beehive if you've got a limited budget but you want to get into beekeeping and just have a couple of hives at the bottom of the garden. I think this is a superb outfit to start with. So we're going to spend the next few weeks producing videos showing how to build all of these boxes, how to put frames together, how to add the foundation, how it all sits together. I guess the one additional piece of equipment you might want to add to this is a stand, so that you can put your hive on a stand. But actually you could use a couple of concrete blocks and some wooden posts to sit on top of it, so you don't have to spend a huge amount of money if that's a limiting factor for you. We'll also talk about the other equipment that you're going to need, things like hive tools, smokers, a bee suit. And as we go through into next season, hopefully we can show you just how simple it is to get started in beekeeping, and just how affordable a hobby it can be if you choose the right equipment and you go about the hobby in the right kind of way. Don't forget, if you want to watch the videos as we release them, check out my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Norfolk Honey. But otherwise, you'll be able to access these videos on YouTube a few weeks after those initial publications. If you've got any questions, then do pop them beneath the video or send me a direct message either in Patreon or using my website, which is norfolk-honey.co.uk. But if not, we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching.